Hey everyone, welcome back to Jay's Marketing Consult, where we make marketing simple, practical, and powerful. In today's lesson, we are going to talk about the psychology of consumerism, that is, understanding the consumer mind, why people buy what they buy. My first question would be, have you ever wondered why people buy what they buy? Why would a university student spend over 8,000 Ghana cedis on an iPhone when a 2,000 Ghana cedis Android can perform almost the same function? Or why do even people queue at KFC when there are cheaper rice joints around the corner? The truth is, purchasing decisions aren't always about price or quality. They are often about feelings, identity, and how the consumer mind processes choices. In today's video, we are diving deep into the psychology of consumer behavior, and this can be categorized into three main sections. The first section talks about the 5 stages of consumer behavior, that is the decision-making process. The second one talks about the psychology behind why people buy. And the third section talks about how marketers can use this insight. Stay tuned and watch to the end, and I believe you'll enjoy this section. The 5 stages of consumer buying behavior. Every purchase we make, from a bottle of water to a new smartphone, follows a mental process. Marketers who understand this insight can influence consumers at every step of their journey. Now, the first step that we're going to talk about is we have the problem recognition, which triggers I need something. We have information search, which talks about what are my opinions or options. We have the third one talks about evaluation of alternatives. Which one is better? Purchase decision talks about I'm buying it. And lastly, talks about post-purchase behavior, which triggers was it worth it? Now, let's dive deep into each of these steps. Problem recognition. The buying process starts when the consumer identifies a problem or need. This realization creates a gap between their current state and their desired state. For example, imagine a student at Kumasi Technical University who is struggling with a slow phone that hangs during lectures or YouTube live recording. That frustration alone sparks the thought, I need a new phone. For marketers, this is the activation point. A well-placed ad, influencer post, or social media story can help a consumer recognize that they have a need your product can solve. To achieve this, marketers can create short, relatable ads or social media posts featuring real students in similar situations. For instance, an ad could show a student in one of the universities frustrated as their slow phone freezes during an online lecture or a YouTube live recording. The scene then shifts to the same student using a new fast smartphone, smoothly taking notes, recording videos, and smiling confidently. This kind of storytelling makes the audience think, wow, that happens to me too, which triggers problem recognition. By reflecting the daily frustration of their target consumers, marketers help them realize the need for an upgrade and naturally position their product as a solution. The second step talks about information search. Once the need is recognized, the next step is searching for information. Consumers begin exploring potential solutions. They Google reviews, check YouTube influencers, or ask friends for recommendations. For instance, that same student might type best phones under 5 Ghana cedis in Ghana, or watch a YouTube comparison between iPhone and Samsung. This is where visibility matters most. If your business doesn't appear in these searches, it practically doesn't exist in the consumer mind. Marketers must therefore invest in search engine optimization, which is the SEO, social media presence, and review management. In order to achieve this, marketers can create content that answers consumers' questions, develop blog posts, videos, or social media content that directly responds to what people are searching for, such as top affordable phones for students in Ghana. By making it easy for consumers to find reliable information about your product, you guide them smoothly through their decision process and increase the chances that your brand becomes their top choice. The stage 3 emphasizes on evaluation of alternatives. Here, it talks about which one is better. At this stage, the consumer starts comparing different brands or products. They look at price, performance, features, but they also add what we call emotional and social value to it. With instances like the university student, she may compare iPhone and Samsung. We all know that both phones are powerful, but the iPhone seems to project status and style. It makes the user feel more confident and socially accepted. That is where brand perception comes in. Marketing isn't just about specs. It is about shaping how people feel about your brand, in which Apple has mastered this state. It sells identity, not just technology. If you are a marketer and you want to penetrate into this, the only thing that you can do is highlight emotional benefits and not just features. To do that, you need to show how the product enhances lifestyle, confidence, or belongings. Using the same example, market a phone as the device that keeps you connected, stylish, and ready for anything. You can also use persuasive comparison. This indicates that you need to create infographics, review videos, or posts that clearly demonstrate your advantage over competitors. But take note, do this without directly attacking them. You can also showcase testimonials, influencer opinions, and user experience that reinforce your product quality and desirability. By appealing to both rational and emotional factors, marketers help consumers see their brand as the better, more meaningful choices, not just another option. The fourth on the list was purchase decision, which goes by I am buying it. Here, the consumer finally decides to buy. Interestingly, this decision is mostly emotional. That is, the heart buys first and the mind justifies later. Our student might say, iPhones are more secure. But deep down, it is about the Apple logo and what it represents. This is where the customer experience must be smooth, convenient checkout, trustworthy staff, clear warranties, and after-sales support, which all strengthen the buyer's confidence. When the transaction feels easy and rewarding, it increases the likelihood of a purchase due to the fact that customers don't like complicated or complex transactions. Moving on to the final stage, which is the post-purchase behavior. Talks about, was it worth it? After the purchase, consumers evaluate whether they made the right choice. If they are satisfied, they might share their excitement on social media, giving your brand free advertising. If they are disappointed, they could complain publicly or switch brands. For instance, the same student may post a selfie with a new iPhone caption, "Finally, I have joined the iPhone family." Indirectly, what is she doing? She's rather promoting Apple's brand image. Here, I will say this: marketers must not stop after the sale, which is no. What you need to do is create what you call feedback, generate feedbacks, follow-up emails, appreciation messages, or loyalty programs matters most because they can help turn a one-time buyer into a long-term customer. Most people normally do this. After the purchases are done, they think that that is all. But if you are a marketer and you have this in mind, note this: you are always driving your customers away. Make them part of the institution. They will go and come back again. And whilst they are coming, they are rather coming with someone else. And this tip: people don't buy products, but rather they buy feelings, value, and meaning. Moving on now, we have shifted our focus from the 5 stages of consumer buying behavior. Now let's move on to section 2, where it talks about the psychology behind why people buy. Let's dig deeper. What is really happening inside the consumer mind when they buy something? This section answers the question. There are 3 main psychological triggers that drive consumer decisions. That is emotion, social influence, and perceived value. The first on the list is emotion over logic. When people buy something, they often think they are making a logical decision. That is comparing prices, features, or specification. But in reality, emotion is usually the first trigger that pushes them forward a purchase. Here is how it works. Emotion creates desire, and logic justifies the decision. What do I mean by this? Now let me explain that clearly. Our student at Kumasi Technical University might see a sleek new iPhone ad showing confident, happy people, capturing perfect moments. They instantly feel something. Maybe excitement, admiration, or a sense of belonging. That emotional reaction makes them want the phone, even before they check its features or price. Later, they rationalize the decision by saying things like, "It has better camera quality," or "its battery lasts long." But the real motivation started when emotion first came in. The feeling that owning the iPhone will make them feel stylish, confident, or accepted. Marketers will understand this focus on emotional storytelling rather than just technical details. They use visuals, colors, music, and messages that makes the audience feel something first. Once emotion hooks, the consumer logic follows to confirm the choice. The next one is social influence. Humans are naturally social beings. We crave acceptance, belonging, and validation from others. That means our purchase decisions are often shaped by what people around us think, use, or recommend it. Now imagine our student at Kumasi Technical University again. She noticed her friends and influencers on YouTube or TikTok using the latest iPhone, snapping sharp photos, sharing aesthetic videos, and getting attention online. Subconsciously, she begins to associate the iPhone with popularity, confidence, and social approval. Soon, it is not just about needing a better phone, it is about fitting in and feeling relevant within her social cycle. That is the power of social influence. People often look to others for cues on what's desirable, acceptable, or worth buying. Marketers can tap into this powerful trigger by creating social proof, evidence that others trust, love, and use their product. To do this, work with influencers or brand ambassadors who mirror the lifestyle your target audience admires. When consumers see people they respect or relate to using your product, they are more likely to follow, not because of logic, but because of belonging. The final one talks about perceived value. Every consumer, before buying, subconsciously asks, am I getting enough value for what I'm spending? Perceived value isn't just about price, it's about how much benefit, satisfaction, or prestige the consumer believes they will gain in return. Two products may have the same price, but if one feels more rewarding, trustworthy, or luxurious, that's the one people choice. For instance, think again of the same student at Kumasi Technical University. She's comparing two phones, that is the iPhone and Samsung. One is cheaper, but the iPhone feels more valuable because it represents quality, reliability, and social prestige. Disclaimer: Samsung's phones are not cheap, but we are using this for educational purpose. Even though she might spend more, she believes the experience, durability, and status it brings make it worth the money. That belief, not the actual specs, drive the purchase. It matters to marketers because marketers must understand the value it has on the psychology. It creates true perception, not just price tags. To win consumers over, marketers need to increase perceived value by making their product feel more rewarding and essential. Moving on to our last section, we talk about how marketers can apply these insights. Now that we have understood how consumers think and feel, let's translate these lessons into real marketing strategies. The first one talks about create empathy maps. An empathy map helps you understand your audience pains, goals, fears, and desire. When you know what your customers truly care about, you can tailor your message perfectly. If you are marketing laptops to students, highlight features like affordability, battery life, and durability. Show them you understand their world. The more personal your marketing feels, the more likely it is to connect to them. Use emotional storytelling. Stories engage people's emotion and make your brand memorable. For example, Fan Yogo ads really talk about the product itself. They don't do that. But what they do is that they show joy, laughter, and friendship. That is emotional storytelling in action. Instead of saying our drink is refreshing, they rather tell the story of friends cooling off after a football match with their drink in their hand. The next one talks about build social proof. People trust people more than brands. Use testimonials, influencers, or real customers to promote your brand. Many Ghanaian beauty brands have grown quickly by showcasing real users on TikTok and Instagram instead of a polished models. it feels genuine, and authenticity builds trust faster than any ad. Now, point 4 talks about deliver post-purchase happiness. The sale is not the end of the marketing process. It is the start of a relationship. Follow up with your customers, send appreciation messages, or give loyalty discounts. When customers feel valued, they don't just come back, but rather they bring their friends too. When people feel understood, respected, and emotionally connected to a brand, they become loyal advocates, not just buyers. Take note, you are not just selling a product, but rather you are selling emotion, experience, and identity. When you understand how the consumer mind works, you don't have to chase customers, they will rather chase you. So the next time you design a marketing campaign, remember these tips that I've given you. If you learned something new today, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Jay's Marketing Consult. And in our next episode, we will explore the 4 P's versus the 7 P's of marketing and how to understand and use them like a pro. See you in the next one.